We have another segment. The great Mike Racine has just entered. We're going to talk about a few things that happened at the UN General Assembly. Mike really wanted to talk about General al-Sisi. He's got a major bone to pick with that guy. But we'll do this quick segment and we'll keep going with the rest of the show. But then we'll have Mike come on. But I want to just do, in the post game, we'll check in on West Papua, which we covered a couple weeks ago, Iran, and some other important things that happened at the UN General Assembly. Trump's speech, he looked like he popped 50 Xanax. He looked like Jordan Peterson stumbling out of rehab. He was exhausted. He was low energy. It was a combination of George W. Bush neoconservative talking points and threats on Iran with like some primo YouTube right-wing pablum and threats against refugees and a confirmation of the war on refugees and immigrants across this country, which is the only area where there's actually been policy coherence in the Trump administration. But this guy really was like, hey, you know what? First of all, Donald Trump is funny and has a certain bizarre charm. I've got none of that. And if you're going to be low energy this year, I will take the charmless, retrograde, charisma-free, weirdo portion of the day. And by the way, this is on the same lineup. General Sisi, who's facing a huge anti-austerity uprising in Egypt after brutally running that country for several years in a coup, he mainly talked about economic partnerships with sub-Saharan Africa. Okay? But J.R. Bolsonaro, the clown fascist jackass moron embarrassment to the world, advised by Steve Bannon.
Fascist Carl Sagan.
Fascist Carl Sagan. I just want to be clear. This is like in the first 2 minutes of the speech. We barely got even through all of it. Just to give you a flavor.
This is at 1:19.
This is 1:19 in the speech, and he already goes in. This guy, and let's be real, he's just a pawn of Western capital interests, but also of the ranchers and other elements in Brazil. This guy's in charge of the Amazon. He later, of course, said that the Amazon fires were essentially fake news, but here it is.
I come here before you today to introduce you to a new Brazil, a country that is now re-emerging after coming from the brink of socialism, a country that is being rebuilt on the yearnings and ideals of its people. Under my administration, Brazil has been working to regain world trust, and also to lower unemployment, violence and business risks by reducing bureaucracy through deregulation and especially by leading through example. My country was very close to socialism, which led us to a situation of widespread corruption, serious economic recession, high crime rates, and continuous, ceaseless attacks against family and religious values that are part and parcel of our traditions. In 2013, an agreement between the former Workers' Party and the Cuban dictatorship brought to Brazil 10,000 doctors who had no evidence of professional training.
Pause it.
They were
Now, there are other parts of the speech that are crazier, but I just want to just really underline that just like literally out of the gate, he's just giving at the UN. Like even Trump will try at the UN, certainly others. We're going to play the rest of it to calibrate their domestic message with some notion of international respectability. Gone. And of course, I mean, his foreign minister rants about cultural Marxists. His son was just photographed again with Steve Bannon. But the first actual tangible part of his speech, other than conspiracies and lies and pablum about the Workers' Party, is attacking Cuba for a program that literally benefited at a minimum tens of thousands of poor Brazilians in a bizarre conspiracy theory. Here's more.
10,000 doctors who had no evidence of professional training. They were prevented from bringing their spouses or children. And 75% of their wages were confiscated by the Cuban regime. And they were further prevented from enjoying fundamental rights, such as, for example, the right to go and come. Truly tantamount to slave labor, believe me.
All right. So yeah, this guy, I mean, they're all listening to the Ben Shapiro podcast. So this guy, and again, just to be clear, and we'll cover this more in the coming weeks, this administration, there are murders of indigenous leaders. There's murders of landless workers. The former president is a political prisoner. They are sniping poor neighborhoods and advocating for policies that will allow for farmers to murder activists and poor people and indigenous people. So that's what's actually happening. And the Amazon is still burning. And this is the direct outgrowth of Western financial interests, of Wall Street, of Monsanto, and all these other corporate interests that were willing to destroy a modern, successful social democratic government to help facilitate, through a corrupt DOJ-backed investigation, this fucking embarrassment being president of Brazil. Now, I want to just play and just do the Ruben, man, and then we'll get to this other thing.
What is your opinion on Brazilian Prime Minister Bolsonaro regarding, oops, there's a lot of things moving here, deforestation of the rainforest? P.S. I'm a Christian, I bake you a cake, though. I don't know enough about him, but it sounds like he really hates Marxism, and he's really pushing Brazil to become more of a world leader, and that he actually is for capitalism, and he's trying to get some of the SJW stuff out of the schools. I just saw a tweet by him a day or two ago. So on that front, and I don't know a ton about him, that all sounds good to me. And as a Christian, I appreciate your offer to bake me a cake.
I think, I think even in the last couple of months, more courage of Dave Rubin's convictions if the reporting from Canada is true. I'm not sure. I have to double check, but I've heard reports that Dave might be doing some type of event with a alt-right party in Canada, but I need that confirmed for me from my Canadian sources. You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.